everybody, I am back from Melbourne, Australia. Yeah, listen, I know I said I was going to do a video while I was down there. Folks, I'm so sorry I didn't do anything. Actually, I needed a break. So I took advantage of my time. And look, I've got lots to talk about Melbourne, and I'll probably bring some of that out in the next week or two. But the one thing I wanted to talk to you folks about today was I wanted to talk about a conversation I actually had on the airplane coming back. Now, to preface this whole story, look, I'm on the plane, I'm getting my seat, and the woman who is going to be sitting next to me, I detected an American accent. Now, in Australia, you don't hear that too often. So of course, I'm gonna strike up a conversation with her. I said, hey, where are you from? She's like, I'm from New York. And I said, oh, hey, I'm from New Jersey. And she, of course, she turns around and says to me, well, I thought I was gonna get a nap on this flight, but maybe not. It was quite funny at the time, but look, it was great in that we actually got to have what I would call an old school conversation. Now, look, what I mean by that is she had some very leftist views, and if you've been watching my channel, you would know I have more right-leaning, conservative, biblical views, whatever you want to, whatever label you want to talk about with that. But the most important thing about this conversation is that we actually got to have a conversation. What I mean by that is it seems that so many people, if they oppose you in conversation, they just seem to throw this information bomb into the arena and then split and run and don't even give you a chance to say anything about it. Whereas this conversation, of course, you could say, well, she was locked into the seat and she wasn't going anywhere, but it was much better than that. It was old school. It was like, okay, you feel this way, I feel this way, and we respected each other. And we talked about a lot of different things that were going on in the world today. For example, climate change and COVID and all sorts of different stuff in a political arena. And if you've been watching my channel, you know where I stand on all of this kind of stuff. Somewhere halfway through the conversation, I started talking about God. It was just one of those things that just sort of slipped out, and it was part of my normal vernacular because I really want, to reach lost people and talk about God and incorporate that with my conversation. Well, she said, hey, you're a Christian. And I said, yeah, I am a Christian. And so she told me her beliefs about God. Now, this is no disrespect to her at all, not at all. But one of the things that the path that she went down was more so along the lines of, look, I believe in a higher power, but what about Muslims and all sorts of different religions that she named? I think they're all God. They're all the same God. But my point with all of this is that the Bible is very clear that no one comes to the Father but through me. That was Jesus speaking. Nobody comes to God but through Jesus Christ. So as I started kind of bringing that up, she says to me, she turns and says to me, you seem like a really educated guy, and yet you believe in this. I found that quite funny. And yeah, I kind of just doubled down on exactly, this is it. And the reason why is because I've studied the Bible. But one of the passages that this particular instance made me think of is a passage from Romans 1, and it starts with verse 21. So let me read this to you. For although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him. But they became futile in their thinking and darkened in their foolish hearts. Here's the important one. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images of mortal man and birds and animals and reptiles. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I calling this woman a fool, but it brought me back to this passage right here, where as we're coming towards these end times, it makes me realize, and hopefully you've noticed this too, that there are so many different ideas that people have, and yet, well, what really is the truth? In fact, that was even a further part of the conversation. It's like, well, she was saying, well, that's your truth, and this is my truth. But I challenged her in that moment, and I said, well, okay, I know where you're coming from with this, but isn't it possible that there's actually a third truth that is perhaps the real truth. And what I meant by that and what I explained is that God is the creator. God is the creator of the universe. She just admitted to this. So therefore, wouldn't it be safe to say if God is the creator and we are the creation, then isn't his truth actually the truth? And Christians, this is the great thing that we have today, and I want to remind you of this as we go through these dark days where it's so difficult to realize really what really is the truth out there, and yet we are given God's truth, and that is called the Bible. Folks, that's my word today. I hope this encourages you and really just points out the fact that we do have the truth. The Bible is the truth. We're going to be challenged on this, but therefore I'll challenge you to say, hey, if you aren't picking up your Bible and reading it and studying it, then how are you going to even know, especially when you come into conversations like this? Because you will. Folks, like this video if you really liked it. If you haven't subscribed yet, why haven't you done so? I don't know what's going on with you. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks, and I hope to see you next time.